casting long shadows over the cracked earth of Kijembe, a small village nestled in the heart of East Africa. The air was heavy with heat and desperation, the kind that clung to your skin like an unwelcome guest. Dust swirled lazily in the breeze, coating everything it touched, the huts, the trees, even the faces of the villagers who trudged wearily through the barren landscape. Children with dusty feet sat listlessly under a dying acacia tree, their laughter stolen by the relentless drought that had gripped the land for years. The well at the center of the village, a gaping hole now choked with dry rocks, was a grim reminder of what they had lost. Mama Adia stood at the edge of the barren field, her hands resting on her hips as she surveyed the desolation around her. She was a woman made of resilience, her weathered face etched with lines that told stories of survival against all odds. But even she couldn't hide the sorrow in her eyes as she watched her youngest son, Juma, trudge back from yet another failed attempt to find water. His shoulders sagged under the weight of an empty jerry can, his lips cracked and bleeding from the scorching sun. "It's no use," Juma muttered, dropping the can with a thud. "There's nothing left." Mama Adia knelt beside him, cupping his face in her calloused hands. "We'll find a way, my child," she whispered, though her voice trembled with doubt. "We always do." But deep down, she wondered how much longer they could hold on. The nearest water source was miles away, a treacherous journey through thorny bushes and rocky terrain. Many villagers had already succumbed to dehydration or illness caused by drinking contaminated water. The elders spoke of curses and divine punishment, but Mama Adia knew better. It wasn't fate that had abandoned them, it was humanity. Every morning, the women of the village would rise before dawn, their silhouettes cutting sharp against the pale light of the horizon as they set out on their daily quest for water. They carried jerry cans balanced precariously on their heads, their steps slow and deliberate as they navigated the unforgiving terrain. Some returned empty-handed, their faces etched with despair. Others brought back murky water from stagnant ponds, knowing full well the risks it posed to their families. In the evenings, the village gathered around flickering fires, sharing stories of days gone by when the rains were plentiful and the rivers ran clear. The children listened wide-eyed, their imaginations painting pictures of a world they had never known. For them, water was not just a necessity, it was a dream, a symbol of hope in a life otherwise defined by scarcity. Little did they know, thousands of miles away, someone was about to change everything. Across the ocean, in a bustling city on the other side of the world, Jimmy Donaldson, better known as MrBeast, was scrolling through social media when he stumbled upon a viral post about the water crisis in Africa. The statistics were staggering. Over 2 billion people lacked access to clean water, and every minute, a child died from diseases caused by unsafe drinking water. Jimmy stared at the screen, his mind racing with possibilities. "What if we built 1,000 wells?" he said aloud to his team. The room fell silent. Then one by one his colleagues began nodding, their faces lighting up with excitement. It was ambitious, audacious, and exactly the kind of project that defined MrBeast's legacy. Within days, plans were drawn, partnerships formed, and resources mobilized. The mission was clear: bring clean water to communities in desperate need. Back in Kijembe, news of the initiative reached the villagers like a whisper carried by the wind. At first, many dismissed it as too good to be true, but when construction crews arrived weeks later, hauling drills and pipes, hope began to bloom in the hearts of the people. For the first time in years, they dared to dream of a future where water flowed freely once more. As the drilling machines roared to life, Mama Adia held Juma close, tears streaming down her face. "This is our miracle," she murmured. But miracles often come with challenges, and this one would test them in ways they never imagined. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to turn survival into hope? Dive into this gripping story, inspired by MrBeast's mission to bring clean water to thousands across Africa, and discover how one simple well can spark a ripple effect of change. Scroll down now to witness lives transformed forever. The first drops of water gushed forth from the newly drilled well like a miracle unleashed. The villagers erupted into cheers, their voices echoing across the dry plains as if waking the land itself from its long slumber. Juma stood at the front of the crowd, his eyes wide with wonder, as he cupped his hands under the cool stream. For the first time in years, he felt something other than hunger and exhaustion: hope. Mama Adia watched from a distance, her heart swelling with gratitude but tinged with caution. She had seen too many promises broken to trust easily. Still, she couldn't deny the immediate impact. Children splashing in the water, women filling jerry cans without fear of contamination, and crops beginning to sprout around the edges of the village. Life was returning to Kijembe, drop by drop, but not everyone shared her cautious optimism. At the edge of the village, an elder named Rafiki sat cross-legged beneath a baobab tree, his gnarled staff resting against his knees. He had been skeptical of the outsiders since their arrival, muttering warnings about foreign gifts that came with hidden costs. "Water is life," Rafiki said one evening during a village gathering, his voice low but commanding. "But life must be earned, not given. What happens when these machines break? When the foreigners leave and we are left with nothing?" His words cast a shadow over the celebration, planting seeds of doubt in the minds of some villagers. Mama Adia listened silently, her brow furrowed. She knew Rafiki's concerns weren't unfounded. Maintenance of the wells would require knowledge and resources the village didn't yet possess, but she also knew they couldn't afford to reject help, no matter how imperfect it might seem. Meanwhile, Juma found himself drawn to the construction crew, particularly a young engineer named Sarah. Unlike the others who spoke little beyond polite greetings, Sarah took the time to explain how the wells worked, and even taught him basic maintenance techniques. "You're smart," she told him one afternoon, handing him a wrench. "If you learn how to fix things, you can make sure this well lasts forever." Juma beamed, feeling a sense of purpose he hadn't known before. For the first time, he imagined a future beyond survival, a future where he could contribute, protect, and lead. Yet, just as the village began to settle into this newfound stability, trouble brewed on the horizon. A neighboring village, desperate for water, sent emissaries to negotiate sharing access to Kijembe's well. At first, Mama Adia welcomed them, believing that unity was key to survival. But tensions rose when the outsiders arrived in larger numbers than expected, straining the well's capacity and causing friction among the villagers. "We built this well for us," shouted one man during a heated meeting. "Why should we share it with strangers?" Others argued that denying water to those in need went against everything they had prayed for during the drought. The debate raged late into the night, dividing families and testing friendships. Mama Adia called for calm, her voice steady despite the chaos. "This well is a gift, yes, but it is also a responsibility. If we turn away those in need, we become no better than those who ignored us when we suffered." Her words struck a chord, but the conflict remained unresolved. As days passed, the strain grew heavier, threatening to undo the progress they had made. And then came the storm. A sudden downpour swept through the region, bringing both relief and destruction. Rivers overflowed, washing away parts of the village and damaging the pump system of the well. Panic set in as the villagers realized their lifeline was once again at risk. Juma, remembering what Sarah had taught him, grabbed his tools and rushed to the well. With trembling hands, he began inspecting the damage, determined to fix it no matter the cost. Around him, the rain pounded relentlessly, but his focus never wavered. As he worked, Mama Adia approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've grown so much, my son," she said softly. "But remember, even heroes need help sometimes." She rallied the villagers, urging them to come together to repair the well. Slowly but surely they formed a chain of cooperation, passing tools, holding lights, and offering encouragement. By dawn, the well was operational again, its steady flow a testament to their resilience. Yet as the sun rose over the soaked earth, a new challenge emerged, one that would force them to confront the true meaning of community, sacrifice, and trust. You've seen how just one well brought life back to an entire village, but that's only the beginning. As challenges grow bigger and stakes get higher, will these communities rise together to overcome them? Keep reading to uncover the untold struggles behind turning kindness into lasting impact. The storm had passed, but its aftermath left scars deeper than anyone anticipated. The well was functional again, but the damage to the village was undeniable. Huts lay in ruins, crops were washed away, and tensions between Kijembe and its neighbors reached a boiling point. Mama Adia stood at the edge of the flooded field, her hands trembling as she surveyed the destruction. "We survived the drought," she whispered to herself. "But can we survive this?" Juma, now determined to prove his worth, spent every waking moment maintaining the well and learning everything he could about water systems. He became the unofficial guardian of the village's lifeline, earning respect from both elders and peers. Yet, despite his growing confidence, he couldn't shake the feeling that something darker loomed ahead. One evening, as the villagers gathered around a fire to discuss their next steps, a stranger arrived, an outsider dressed in a crisp suit, his polished shoes caked with mud from the journey. He introduced himself, as Mr. Okello, a representative from a multinational corporation interested in acquiring land in the region for agricultural development. We've identified your area as prime real estate, Mr. Okello said smoothly, flashing a practiced smile. With proper investment, we could turn this barren land into fertile fields, creating jobs and prosperity for all. The villagers exchanged wary glances. Prosperity sounded appealing, especially after years of hardship, but Mama Adia sensed danger lurking beneath his words. What do you want in return? She asked sharply, her voice cutting through the murmurs. Mr. Okello hesitated, then replied, access to your water source. In exchange, we'll provide funding to rebuild your village and ensure long-term sustainability. The room erupted into chaos. Some argued that accepting the offer was their only chance at survival, while others saw it as a betrayal of everything they had fought for. It's a trap, Rafiki shouted, slamming his staff against the ground. These people don't care about us, they care about profit. Once they have control of the well, they'll drain it dry and leave us worse off than before. Juma clenched his fists, torn between his desire to protect the well and his fear of losing everything again. He turned to Sarah, who had stayed behind to oversee the project's final stages. What should we do? He asked desperately. Sarah sighed, her expression grim. It's not an easy decision, but remember, the well isn't just yours. It belongs to everyone who depends on it. If you sell it, you're not just selling your future, you're selling theirs too. Her words struck a chord, but the pressure mounted as days passed without resolution. Meanwhile, Mr. Okello grew more persistent, offering increasingly tempting incentives, while subtly threatening to cut ties altogether if they refused. Then came the twist no one saw coming. Late one night, Juma overheard a conversation between Mr. Okello and one of his assistants near the well. Hidden in the shadows, he listened as the truth unfolded. This place is sitting on an aquifer, Mr. Okello said, his tone cold and calculating. If we gain control of the well, we can monopolize the entire region's water supply. These villagers are too desperate to realize what they're giving up. Juma's blood ran cold. He realized the corporation wasn't interested in helping. They wanted to exploit the village's most precious resource for profit. Racing back to the village, Juma burst into Mama Adia's hut, breathless and wide-eyed. They're lying to us, he exclaimed. They want to take our water and sell it to other villages at outrageous prices. We can't trust them. Mama Adia's face hardened. She called an emergency meeting, where Juma recounted everything he had heard. The villagers were stunned, their anger boiling over as they confronted Mr. Okello. You think you can trick us? Mama Adia demanded, her voice ringing with authority. This well is ours, not yours to steal or sell. Leave now, or we'll make sure you regret ever stepping foot in Kijembe. Mr. Okello sneered but knew he was outnumbered. With a final glare, he stormed off, vowing revenge. Though the immediate threat was gone, the incident left the villagers shaken. They realized they couldn't rely solely on outsiders, even well-meaning ones like MrBeast's team, to secure their future. It was time to take matters into their own hands. Under Mama Adia's leadership, the villagers formed a council to manage the well's resources responsibly. Juma took charge of training others in maintenance, ensuring the system would remain operational for generations. Together, they began implementing sustainable practices, such as rainwater harvesting and crop rotation, to reduce dependence on the well during peak times. But just as things seemed to stabilize, another challenge emerged, one that would test their unity like never before. A neighboring tribe, driven by desperation and misinformation spread by Mr. Okello, accused Kijembe of hoarding water and threatened retaliation. As tensions escalated, Mama Adia faced her greatest test yet, finding a way to bridge divides and prevent violence without sacrificing her village's hard-won progress. The journey isn't over yet, and neither is the fight for sustainability. With tensions rising and unexpected twists ahead, you won't believe what happens next. Click forward to see how resilience meets innovation when everything seems impossible. The sun blazed overhead as Mama Adia stood at the edge of Kijembe's well, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The neighboring tribe was approaching, a group of men armed with crude weapons, their faces etched with anger and desperation. Behind her, the villagers gathered, some clutching makeshift tools, others holding hands in silent solidarity. Juma stepped forward, his voice steady despite the fear in his heart. We can't fight them, he said firmly. If we do, we'll lose everything we've worked for. Mama Adia nodded, her mind racing. She knew violence would only deepen the divide, but she also understood the gravity of the situation. If they didn't act wisely, Bloodshed was inevitable. Summoning every ounce of courage, she raised her hands in a gesture of peace and walked toward the approaching group. Her steps were slow and deliberate, each one a testament to her unwavering resolve. When she reached the front line, she stopped and addressed their leader, a man named Ochieng. "We are not your enemies," she began, her voice calm but commanding. "This well was given to us as a gift, but it is not ours alone. It belongs to everyone who needs it, including you." Ochieng's eyes narrowed, suspicion clouding his features. "Then why have you kept it from us?" he demanded. "It was never our intention to exclude anyone," Mama Adia replied, "but we had to protect what little we had. Now I ask you, can we work together instead of fighting? Can we share this resource and build something greater than either of us could achieve alone?" For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then one of Ochieng's men stepped forward, his expression softening. "She speaks the truth," he said. "My brother told me about the storm that nearly destroyed their village. They've suffered too." Ochieng hesitated, his grip tightening on his spear. Finally, he lowered it and nodded. "We'll listen," he said gruffly. "But if this is a trick—" "It's not," Mama Adia assured him. "Come with me and see for yourself." She led the group to the well, explaining how they had repaired it after the storm and how they were working to ensure its sustainability. Juma demonstrated the maintenance techniques he had learned, while others shared stories of their struggles and triumphs. Slowly but surely, the tension began to dissipate. By the end of the day, an agreement had been reached. The two tribes would share access to the well, with each taking turns to draw water during designated times. A joint council was formed to oversee its management, ensuring fairness and cooperation. As the sun set over Kijembe, the villagers and their new allies gathered around a shared fire, laughter and music filling the air for the first time in years. Juma sat beside Sarah, who had stayed to witness the historic moment. "You've done something incredible here," she said, smiling. "This is more than just a well. It's proof that kindness can spark change." Juma nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "It's not just about the water," he said. "It's about what it brings. Hope, unity, and a chance to dream again." Mama Adia watched from a distance, tears streaming down her face. She had spent years fighting for survival, but now she saw something far greater, a future built on trust and collaboration. In the weeks that followed, news of Kijembe's success spread far beyond the village. Other communities began reaching out, eager to learn how they too could transform their lives through sustainable practices. Inspired by their journey, MrBeast announced plans to expand the initiative, pledging to build even more wells across Africa. As for Kijembe, life continued to flourish. Crops grew tall, children played freely, and the once barren land blossomed into a haven of greenery and vitality. The well remained at the center of it all, a symbol of resilience, generosity, and the power of collective effort. And so, the ripple effect of one simple act of kindness continued to spread, touching lives in ways no one could have imagined.